Hi, and welcome to Bloody Good Reads. I'm your host, Mike Goddard, and this week's guest is from a thriller genre this time. We're having another little break from horror. You know, I like to jump between crime and horror and thriller. So, this week's guest is an award winning journalist, a ghostwriter, and her previous book, The Villa, is amazing. But her brand new book, The Escape, is even more of a thrilling novel to get into in December as well. A little bit of Christmas thriller for you. So, welcome to the podcast this week, Ruth Kelly.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
No worries. What I'd like to do here on Bloody Good Reads is force authors to pick 3 books they love because I'm a bit nasty in that way. So, before we get into kind of your work and how you got into writing, so I'll ask you. I'll ask every guest. How did you get into the thriller genre, and kind of what was your reading patterns growing up?
Well, I don't really know actually. I've been ghostwriting for years, and they were pretty gritty reads. And I think I just wanted to finally do something of my own. I mean, I'd written 10 books for other people, and I was finding that by the end of the ghostwriting that I was doing, I was finding that I was being much more experimental and creative with my writing, and
Mm,
probably veering towards fiction in a way, the way that I was presenting the story and the way that I was creating some of the narrative arcs within it. And then in terms of doing my own book, I love the thriller genre. It suited me. It's kind of what I'm into, what I read, what I watch on Netflix, and I used well, my first book was partly inspired by my experience work on reality TV shows,
mhm.
so that was the sort of the theme mixed into the thriller element. I mean, it's more perhaps it's more of a psychological thriller than a hardcore thriller. Um, yeah.
So, regards to your ghostwriting, obviously you've done a lot of kind of non-fiction, so the governor, the prison doctor. So, was that kind of the area you wanted to get into while ghostwriting?
um, no, um, I those stories came about by coincidence. I met the prison doctor through just, I guess, my journalism work and out and about. And then I have this thing where I think I'm quite good at spotting what might make a good book.
Mm,
And it was just by chance that I came across that story. If you look over all the books that I've written, they're really varied from a genre called misery memoir, quite hard hitting abuse stories, to animal healing stories, to doing Michelle Moan's autobiography, to someone made in Chelsea, um, and um, and then I came across the prison doctor, Dr. Brown, well, through some friends' connections, and then I just instantly knew that was going to be a book and put the idea together. And then through interviewing Dr. Brown, I met Vanessa Frake, the governor, because she wanted me to meet Vanessa to add colour to and background to her own story.
mm.
And then by meeting her over a lunch, I instantly knew that Vanessa's story was going to be a book within seconds. So I pitched it to her and said, "Do you want to do a book with me?" And that rolled off as a book that came after the prison doctor. But that's often how things turn out for me. I just kind of hear stories, or one thing rolls into the other, that's pretty typical. That's pretty typical of journalism, I think. How you get stories.
So, was you quite a big reader growing up as well, or was it more kind of an older, when you got older, kind of thing, getting into journalism, that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I didn't read at all actually. I yeah, I think as a child, well, that's not true actually. I did read as a child, and my mum always read books with me. And then I studied English literature at university, and I had to read too many books in too
Mm,
short a space of time, and
mm,
it put me off reading. Yeah, it put me off reading for quite a long time actually. I just almost had I was saturated with the whole thing. It was really bizarre. It just put me off. And then I finished university, and I got a job as a like a cub reporter on a newspaper, and I don't think I read then either, because I was just inundated with work and deadlines and going out on stories, and I think that continued, and I only got back into books really when I wrote books for other people as a
Mm.
ghostwriter. I started reading non-fiction books first, studying the craft, looking at autobiographies and seeing what makes a good one, what makes one a bestseller. And then I think, and then it was much later on that I really got back into reading for myself again. I'm probably not a traditional author in that sense. I'm a bad
Weirdly,
reader.
actually, a lot of people, well, a lot of people who I've interviewed before have very similar things where they've gone to university, and it's because you've got to read a certain particular type of book as well, and kind of force yourself to have to go through the books. You don't want to read more after that. A lot of people who kind of get into film, from the people I've talked to on the other on my film podcast, have been, it's very similar, where they loved reading before, went to university, did English degrees, and after that, no, movies are a lot easier, kind of thing. But
Ah,
cool, awesome. Well, let's get into kind of the books that you do like then. So
okay.
again, what we like to do on the podcast is force authors to pick books that they absolutely love. So, what is your first choice for your bloody good reads this week?
Well, my choices aren't like massively. I just want to say, just, they're not hugely going to shock anyone, but I just absolutely adore these books. So my first one is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. I just, I was really, really thrown by the ending. I love it. I mean, it's rare that I get completely spellbound and shocked with a twist, and I just didn't see that coming. And I think when I read over it now, I just think it's so clever. It's so clever the way that it's planned and plotted, and um, giving little drips and drabs of information on a kind of a repeat cycle. I think it's just phenomenal.
Awesome. So let's get into your first book. So The Villa. As you said, it's kind of comes off the back of doing some of your work on reality TV. I'm halfway through, absolutely loving it.
Oh yeah.
Very, very, very tense, and it does kind of. It's quite a good time to be reading it if you're into your reality TV show, especially with Big Brother being back and everything as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the book and where the idea for this one came about?
Yeah, so it's based on a Spanish island. It's a reality TV show where a bunch of singletons go to be coupled up. Obviously, there's it smacks of some other similar TV show, I'm sure, um, and uh, live streamed 24 hours a day, and the audience have the power to vote and get the contestants to do what they want. And it's told through the point of view of um, the journalist Laura, who's going undercover. She's been sent in by her newspaper reluctantly. She doesn't want to take part, but she's feeling forced to do it. It's told through the point of view of the producer, Michelle, and it also has um, uh, Gogglebox type viewers involved in chapters as well, and they're doing the voting, and so you can see through their eyes what's going on. And it the book begins with a body, um, and that's not a shock. That's not a giveaway. Me saying that, and then it works backwards. You sort of try and work out how that body, the show came to unravel to that extreme.
Mm.
And there's lots. It's pretty pacey. There's lots of twists and turns. Everyone kind of calls it addictive for some reason. I don't really know why, but that's the label that it's been given, addictive. Um, and I came to write it because I did work with Endemol, who make Big Brother. I worked
Mm.
on a reality TV show that they did. I was a writer on the show, so I've had some experience of working on reality TV shows and seeing how they operate, the different things they do to get contestants to bring out the sort of the most in a contestant. So
Mm.
that definitely features in the book, and it's quite a big part of the book because there's a dark message in the book. It's not just a sort of a light thriller. There's definitely a message about the cruelty and the dark side of reality TV.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of came about with it.
It's shows that you do have some kind of background in it, because it does go quite into depth, especially kind of how the producer feels and how kind of protective she is of the show. Obviously, I'm not trying to give much away. But it is very tense, and I'm still trying to figure out now who's going to be, you know, the one who did it and why as well. Addictive, addictive is a good word to use, especially with reality TV, I suppose. So it's a good way of saying it. But no, it is a very, very, very good book. So go and check that out now, especially if you've got Kindle Unlimited as well. I think that's going on there currently. I'd say get the book as well. It's a nice chunky sized book as well. It's not even a thin one, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the twists and turns you got. But what we're here to talk about today is your brand new book, The Escape, being called a twisty, tense, and shocking thriller. Also addictive, apparently, from from one of the quotes on the cover. Where did the idea of The Escape come from?
It came from my rabbit holing on YouTube. I'm a great procrastinator. Instead of getting my words done, I'll go down some rabbit holes.
The
And
YouTube Shorts kind of rabbit hole that we already just gets kind of stuck into.
no, I get stuck on the longer ones,
Okay.
which is even more infuriating because they take up way too much time. And but I kind of I'll chop and change and I'll pick whatever the algorithm's coming up with.
Mm.
I actually do watch quite a lot of YouTube, and I have quite a few influencers that I follow, and I noticed I've been noticing a pattern. This is part of what inspired me, not the whole part.
Mm.
I've been I've noticing this new sort of breed of influencer that is trying to that tries to raise money for their life through GoFundMe.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone listening to this uh, has seen this as well, but there's this kind of this trend um, for YouTubers to go fund me a roof for my house, go fund me a cup of coffee a day, go fund me a this and a that, and that's what sparked part of the idea for this book. This idea that if you ask other people to contribute to your life in this way, how much do you really owe them? I mean, it seems like it's a gift, but is it really a gift? Are you then somehow indebted to them?
Mm.
And that idea kind of was what sort of the germ that made me think about what would happen if it was bigger. What if you go fund me your dream home abroad, because everyone wants a dream home abroad to escape their life or just have the outlet. And the couple that feature in my book, the girl, Adele, she is fed up of her life in England. She is struggling in her relationship with her partner, and she just wants to escape. Hence the title,
Mm.
The Escape. And she wants to, start again abroad. And she set her sights, but not on like a house, a small little house. She set her sights on a big country house, a chateau, and it costs over €1 million, and there's no way she can afford it. So she does a YouTube GoFundMe video asking for support, explaining why she wants to raise why she wants to buy this house. And she's thinking that everyone's going to be on board, and everyone's going to really love what feel her pain and want to help out. But actually, she gets a huge backlash to it, saying she's a scrounger. How could she possibly be doing this? Why doesn't she get a job like everybody else, etc., etc.? And then this mystery benefactor comes on board and offers to buy them this house, and she is so desperate to have it, to start this new life with her partner Jack, that she agrees to it and sort of overlooks the terms and conditions that come in this long contract
Mm.
and says, yes, we'll do it. And so the book is really about, well, I guess the theme of the book is nothing in life is for free. It's told through the point of view of the influencer Adele, told in the past, so she's acquiring this chateau, and through her sister, her older sister Erin, that's in the present tense, who's come to find her because she's gone missing. She's hasn't been seen for several days or picking up her calls since New Year's Eve, and her sister is pretty worried, and she drives all the way out to France to find her. And so there's this contrast between the summer when Adele arrives in this beautiful chateau, and this cold spooky chateau in the midwinter, and she can't find her sister, and these two timelines converge at this sort of rocket speed to find out what actually the mystery benefactor, why he actually bought them this house, and everything unravels from there.
And nobody ever reads the terms and conditions.
No one ever reads the terms and conditions. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I absolutely loved writing it. Another big part of it was that I've been spent a lot of time in France, um, been seen much of France over the past 10 years, and I find that the countryside in winter really spooks me out over there. So I really wanted to capture that, and I think settings and places just like the villa on this Spanish island. I love to make the I really like to make the surroundings, wherever it's set, to really come alive. And I think that plays a big part in the book. It makes it really spooky, this creepy forest that surrounds the chateau, which is on the front cover, and it looks great. Yeah, so that France was another big element for it that I wanted to throw into it, because of my experience there. Yeah, and it's doing really well. It's been selected as thriller of the month on iBooks at the moment, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. I keep obsessively like looking at where it is in the charts now on iBooks. And yeah, it's been picked as a book club read for lots of magazines. I'm overwhelmed at how big a response it's getting. I think it's this influencer type angle that's really kind of tapping in somewhere, because people seem to really love that.
You do get a lot of them kind of, buy me a coffee, that kind of thing, and it's a really weird world we live in now, where all we've got to do is go online to kind of say, buy me this, and people do. But you can always see the obsession section of that as well, where, again, why is this person buying her this house, and why would people keep buying new things? It goes like with OnlyFans as well, and GoFundMe generally. The amount of people who do GoFundMe sites and can con people out money and that kind of thing. It's modern life. It's really weird, fascinating world to go into, and I suppose it links kind of in a way to social media in general as well. It's just the world that we live in now. But it does sound very dark, very claustrophobic, and I'm very much looking forward to getting this when I can actually get my hand on. And I would highly recommend it. If you're going by the villa and kind of how tense the villa and how tense the villa is, you guys are gonna love this one. It does sound amazing. If you're into your horror as well, it's kind of a dark thriller, less horror but dark thrillery kind of movie feel to it as well, which yes, makes me want to read this even more. But yes, awesome. So that is The Escape. That comes out in December, or is out on ebook now. So go and check it out.
Oh, I can actually say to anyone who's into horror and gothic, the Escape is much more horror and gothic like than the Villa. It's been described as very gothic like. It's quite dark. It does get really dark in places, so that it's, even though it has that paciness of the Villa, it does take some dark turns. So yeah, if you're more into that kind of thing, then The Escape might be up your street.
Very, it's kind of when you describe in the book as well, it kind of gives me it's like Psycho vibes as well, where kind of you have the first half where you go to the hotel, then you got the second
Oh
half where
yeah.
somebody goes up and goes and finds. It's got that's kind of that dark thriller bit that I love. So brilliant. What we'll do now is go to your second pick, because I haven't asked you for your second pick yet. So what is
Okay.
your second buddy good read?
Well, I'm gonna choose this one as my second one because of a similar atmosphere link to The Escape. But I absolutely love The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley,
Good book.
and that's set in remote, around I think near a loch in Scotland, and it's got this creepy feel, isolation, the same as The Escape, with lots, it's snowy. It's I think it's even maybe around New Year too. Um, so I love that book. I love the multiple voices, that sort of Agatha Christie nod that it has in there. That I couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure out who it was either, but that wasn't what was driving me as much as Before I Go to Sleep, which I think the twist completely, floored me. I think I like the fact that it's all these unlikable characters in an isolated situation, and it's a melting pot of all these university friends who don't really like each other, and all the old grievances are coming out, and I think that's brilliant. And I love her use of description. I think it's very evocative.
I love the cover as well. It's
Oh yeah, the cover is
yeah.
great. Yeah.
I've got a thing for covers. Sorry.
Oh,
But no, I've had my eyes on this one for a long time, so I'm glad somebody's finally picked this one. It's I've got it on Kindle, but I haven't got around to reading it yet. But that's
oh.
an amazing pick. Um, let's go then to your third pick, because I completely messed up my order as how I was going to ask you this. So, what is your third and final very good read?
My final pick is a psychological thriller called Apple Tree Yard,
Okay.
by Louise Doughty, which was turned also into a BBC drama. And it's not as it's not as well. It is as dark as the other two. It's very dark, but it's in a different way. It's much more psychological thriller, and a lot of it takes place in a court hearing, um, uh, where the main character is standing trial for murder, and then it slips, and then it goes between before the court's case, with this affair that she's having. She's having an affair with this guy who she meets, I think at the House of Parliament, and she's a scientist, and she meets him, and he's, well, I won't give it away, but it's kind of it's I really do like court stuff. Well, I like court stuff, but it's not too heavy, and I think this had the perfect blend of a thriller with a court case, and I love the way that she was able to marry those two up, that you didn't feel like one was overshadowing the other, and you didn't feel too much, that you were stuck too much in this lawyer type read, whereas um yeah, I just thought, and the twist at the end also got me. Maybe I'm a twist person.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what gets me on each of them.
Because even with kind of, I mean, I again horror fan, but I do like the dark thrillery kind of narrative more. This is why I love crime and I love horror. That's why it's such a middling area. And the twist at an end will always get me every single time. So no, I know know what you're thinking on that line. So awesome. So what are you working on next? Is there anything you got coming up kind of next year or?
Yeah, I'm working ridiculously hard to make a deadline at the moment. I've got a book coming out next November time,
Hmm.
and I'm just trying to finish it. Um, and it's yeah, it's another wintry setting, and quite an extreme setting in the Swiss mountains. And I did an amazing recce to see if it was going to work. I went to Switzerland, so I can happily talk all about that, about my adventure up a mountain. Um, yeah, I needed to work out if this book was gonna. So as I said about my other books, the setting for my books takes center stage in many ways,
Hmm.
and I guess I could partly call myself a destination thriller writer. Um, and I set my sights on this. I needed to see if I could get away with putting up 3,000 meters or further above sea level, where I was going to set this book. And so I know that I hadn't had much experience of being in the mountains, just, like I went on a school trip to study glaciers. That was about like one of the main things that I did, and it'd been a long time since I'd been to the Alps. So I did a recce, and I went to this revolving restaurant called Piz Gloria. It's very famous. It was in on Her Majesty's Secret Service, James Bond, and that's where they set the film. And I think it was the world's first revolving restaurant, and it's 3,200 meters above sea level. I think that's right. And it does an entire rotation of the mountains in 1 hour, and you sit in this restaurant, and it's phenomenal. It's absolutely incredible. But I'm scared of heights. Um, and I was really naive. I didn't really do my research. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I thought it would just be one cable car ride up there.
Mm.
Um, but it wasn't. It was 4 cable car
Oh,
rides up
Jesus.
to the top, and each one got more scary. It was just like you go up the valley, and then you go to this this town that kind of is about 1,000 meters above sea level, called Murren. It's very famous. It's really beautiful with all these little Swiss houses, and they don't have any cars up there, obviously, and they live up there on this mountain ledge. And then you change again, and then you go up again, and each time you go up, the drop is bigger. The
Mm.
Everything is more scary and frightening, and it gets to the last stop before you go to the very top, and you just see this kind of thin cable going up to this mountain peak where the restaurant is. And I literally like froze. I froze.
Mm.
I just panicked. I thought I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. My legs were already shaking, and then yeah, eventually I thought I can't go all this way and not reach the top. So I went up there, and it's just incredible. It really gave me um a first hand look at if I could pull this book off, if it would work up this mountain, just like this restaurant that I visited. And I don't think I'd be writing this book if I hadn't have done that trip. So yeah, I did. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing, and that's what I'm currently working on, bringing this mountain and what I experienced to life in this twisty thriller,
Awesome.
which is all set there.
That does sound terrifying. I wouldn't be able to do that. That's awesome. Cool. Don't know, my head just gonna be completely blank then. Sorry. Was thinking of all the
I
heights.
went on for ages about that.
That's right. I think about horrible heights. Cool. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast this week. Go and check out The Villa now and The Escape on ebook, and go and buy the book as well in December. Where can people find you if you'd like to be found?
Oh yeah, you can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm a little bit on Twitter, but the handles are the same, at Ruthie Writer, RUTHY, and then writer.
Awesome. So again, a huge thank you to Ruth for coming on the podcast this week. Go and check the books out today. As always, before we go, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Abominable Book Club, the UK's best horror and thriller book box service, bringing the wonders of a haunted bookshop straight to your door each month. You can get the Full Guts box, which is a brand new book, a possibly haunted secondhand book, and also an indie title or sometimes magazines. You also get UK snacks, and you get some drinks, you get bookmarks, you get badges, you get canvas bags, you get whole load of random stuff inside the boxes, and they are amazing. If you don't want all the bits, you just want the books, I don't blame you. Books are awesome. You can also get the Bare Bones box as well. If you use the code BloodyGoodReads at checkout, you can get 10% off your box as well. And as always, huge thank you to you for listening to the podcast this week. You can also catch us over on Twitter, X, wherever it is nowadays, at Bloody Good Reads, Instagram at Bloody Good Reads, and you can also catch us on bloodygoodreads.co.uk. We get reviews of movies and books on our sister podcast, which is Bloody Good Screen Movie Club, where myself, Niall, Chloe, and Marcus are reviewing horror films and other genres. We don't care anymore. And we're giving our thoughts on 3 movies a month. A huge thank you for you guys listening. Again, we can't do this podcast without you. Give us a like, subscribe, whatever you have to do. Spotify, iTunes, I don't know these things anymore. Again, I've been your host, Mark Goddard, and I'll see you next time.